September 25th, 1998. Bizzy Bone appears on BET's Planet Groove to speak about his debut solo album, Heaven's Movie, and more importantly to drop the video for the first single, Thugz Cry. At this time, Bizzy had been notably absent from many of the Bone Thug group efforts and seemed to be very focused on his solo endeavors. He was also very vocal about his disdain for Tamika and the Black Widow reign of Ruthless Records. For years, Bone Thug fans have spoke about the symbols and meanings behind the Thugz Cry music video and that it represented his time on Ruthless. Today, I would like to dig in, break down, and decode one of our favorite Bone videos of all time, Thugz Cry. I would like to remind everyone in the classic Beyond the Harmony fashion that while I have done a ton of research over the year of working on this video, that is only my research, views, and interpretations of this classic Bizzy Bone visual, and that nothing should be taken as official or the final word. I look forward to hearing from all of you in the comments with your interpretations and breakdowns as well. So without further ado, I present to you Decoding the Double Glock, the secrets of the Thugz Cry music video, revealed. The video starts off with a message from Bizzy himself, who is now going by the alias BB Gambini, and it states, "In no way is this video to depict or glamorize prison life. God bless, BB Gambini." This is our first indication that this is going to be a video made up of clues and symbols and not a generic music video about prison. This is stated at the start of the video to make it clear that everything is not as it seems. Directly after the message from Bizzy, we are cruising through the cosmos, ducking constellations, and flying by planets as we make our way to Earth and into the prison that holds Bizzy. Why did the video start like this? Whose perspective is this? These are important questions in cinematography. We'll come back to this later in the video as we uncover more clues. It is worth taking note that the prison is currently calm. No issues, no problems in the jail. At least that's the appearance on the surface at this moment. We are now at ground zero inside of the prison holding Bizzy Bone, following a warden as they make their way through. Does this represent Ruthless Records? In a 1998 interview with Frank Williams for The Source, he had said, "It is the first cut from his solo album Heaven's Movie. The premise of the video is simple. Bizzy Bone will be trapped in a jail cell with police." Reading between the lines, his record label? On the desk that we stop at, we have a few items. Now they seem like they're just scattered random items that you may find on a desk, but let's break these down further and take a look. First up, we have a missing BB Gambini picture. Now why would we have a missing picture of Bizzy Bone if he's currently sitting in the jail? This represents that even in his presence, he has been very distant. We also know that the non-symbolic situation is that Bizzy was missing and distant from much of the Art of War post-recording activities, including music videos, photo shoots, and media appearances.
To set things straight, there's no beef with Bizzy. You guys are all cool. It's some record label problem.
Family as usual. It's just problems with the record label.
This led to so many fans, media, and even Bone themselves asking, where is Bizzy Bone? Next, we see the apple. Now, we know the apple can be a symbol for sin, a forbidden fruit, the snake in the grass from the Bible. Bizzy has said many times that Tamika wanted Bizzy and other members of Bone to sleep with her. She's Eazy-E's wife. Sleeping with her would definitely be viewed as forbidden. In Thugz Cry, Bizzy is quoted as saying, "We keeping the lights on at Ruthless, but I'm not fucking the boss. Looking at me sexy, take your clothes off, but my dick will go soft." And in an interview with allhiphop.com, he said, "And what really drove me away from the Ruthless Records thing is when the young lady came to me and the young lady tried to throw herself at me in return for my loyalty to her label, instead of throwing money at me." A cup of black coffee. DreamMeaning.net says that dreams with black coffee implies a need for you to change your routine, like changing your record label and your everyday life. And last, we see the baton. The Dream Dictionary states that a baton or wand is symbolic of spiritual authority control, and development of ideas. We have here what appears to be a warden of a jail. Now, even though this isn't a female, we would have to assume that because the warden runs the jail, this must represent Tamika Wright, who took over Ruthless Records 3 years prior.
BB Gambini.
Well, this place they call him Bizzy Bone.
Now let's stop it right here, because an important thing is that we continue to pick up that he's being called BB Gambini. And they say BB Gambini. Around this place they call him Bizzy Bone. This early in the video, with us assuming that the warden is a symbol of Tamika, we can only assume that quote-unquote this place is code for Ruthless Records. However, as we dig deeper into the video, let's see if we are only scratching the surface. You notice that the quick correction was made of around this place they call him Bizzy Bone, as that would have been his contracted stage name, Bizzy Bone. But while we're on it, BB Gambini. Where did this name come from? We started to see it leading up to the release of Heaven's movie, as it was used for the promotion in magazines, posters, and even the snippet tape for the album itself. But what is the name? What are the origins? We know that BB Gambini made his visual premiere in the immature video Give Up the Ghost just the year before, rocking suits in Versace and donning that signature BB Gambini hairstyle. Now, it is worth noting that not only did Chris Stokes and Bizzy Bone direct the Give Up the Ghost video, but are the masterminds behind the Thugz Cry video as well. We're going to touch on the BB Gambini name even more later on in the video as we reveal more clues.
What's going on?
You got the release notes?
Yeah, I got it.
These? What?
Where's he at?
Right over here.
What's happening with my release? Huh?
Wishbone quickly asks, release? What? What's happening with my release? Now this shows that Wish is starting to question what's up with his release from Ruthless Records and the current record deal. Bizzy is located in a cell with Flesh and Bone. Now, it's important to note that Flesh is not signed to Ruthless Records, but he is featured in the cell with Bizzy and in the jail with the rest of Bone Thugs. So this may be an early indication that the jail may not represent Ruthless, but something bigger, as Flesh just isn't signed, but he's still stuck in the same place as them. Now, only Bone is wearing orange in the music video, with us looking at the fact that Flesh is in the same jail, but not signed to the same label, but they are wearing the same jumpsuits, that this could indicate that the orange jumpsuits are symbolic of the Bone Thugs and Harmony group, as all the other inmates are wearing yellow jumpsuits, black jumpsuits, Muslim attire, or stripped down to their all-white t-shirts. Those may represent other artists in the jail, and this could mean all of the artists on Ruthless as a whole. However, it seems that this is a sign of something even larger than just Ruthless Records. Now, as we look at all the members of Bone that are located in this jail, we'll notice that every member of Bone is located on the bottom tier inside of the prison, instead of being located on the top tier. Now, this could be symbolic of the fact that Bone isn't treated like a top tier artist the way they should have been after the success of a song as big as The Crossroads. Bizzy quickly embraces Wishbone, but he's pulled apart by the warden. Now, this is one of the last times that you're going to see the warden in the video. This is symbolic of Ruthless tearing Bone apart. Now, Bizzy gives Wish his Bible, and this is an indication that he's hoping for a change of faith. Similar to when a Jehovah's Witness leaves some of their info on their religion, they're hoping that you'll switch your faith. This can be seen as follow Bizzy, and that his belief that leaving Ruthless is the right thing to do. An interesting note to add is that Flesh was in the cell with Bizzy, and he could have easily left it with him, but it appears that Flesh was also reading a Bible, showing us that they both believe in the same thing. As Bizzy makes his way out of the jail, papers and letters, possibly even some money, are raining through the air, and chaos starts to almost break out upon Bizzy's release. Now, I believe this is a symbol of the paper contracts being thrown around. We see the prisoners are now running into each other and possibly even have a riot on their hands. Now, this comes on the heels of Bizzy getting his release and exposing the secrets of the contracts that they've been signed into and the money that had been lost. At the start of the video, we saw that everyone was calm. There were no issues being prisoners. These events cause a major rift in the prison, similar to what is going on inside of Bone at this time. Now let's take a look at Bizzy's wardrobe. While on the outside it just appears to be prison scrubs and a cross, let's dig a little deeper. The first thing that I would point out is Bizzy's inmate number. Now this took me some time to break down what this could possibly mean, and I spent a lot of time researching and even asking Bizzy Bone affiliates from the time. My breakdown goes as followed. We see that it is G7513. The G is for Eazy-E, paying homage to him being a real motherfucking G with a single that had the same name. Now, Bizzy could have easily had an E instead, but when you're putting this many symbols and clues in, you need to be careful to not just give everything away, and an E would have definitely done this. The 7 is of course to represent his new formed team and his label at the time, the Seventh Sign Regime. This is straight and to the point. It's hard for me to believe that this happened on accident. Now finally we have the 513. And this took me the most time to figure out. But on some research, I was able to pinpoint that this is an area code for Southwest Ohio. Once again, I can only assume that this is used to not give away the symbolism so easy. If he was to use 216, which is Cleveland's area code, that would have given it away way too easy to the fans. So this is a homage to Ohio nonetheless. Let's remember that while Bone's roots are in Cleveland, Bizzy moved all around Ohio in his young lifetime. Bizzy Bone's gold cross. This is an indication that he never lost faith in his beliefs. It is normal for most jails and prisons to allow a prisoner to still wear religious jewelry and even wedding rings, but because we are looking at symbols and clues, we can link this back to the use of the Bible used early on with Wishbone. 2 guards escorting Bizzy out of the jail. These guards clearly represent Eazy-E's bodyguards who protected Eazy and Ruthless Records for many years over the NWA times and even after. Animal and Big Mike in the early days, and later on his Samoan twin brothers named John and Jacob Tovio. Now during my research for the video, former Ruthless Records artist Silky Fine was able to confirm the name of the 2 bodyguards featured here with Eazy as Big Mike and Animal. Now while I was speaking with Houdini Black about the Thugz Cry video, he gave me some names of the Bizzy affiliates that were on location during the shoot, and one of the names mentioned by him was Bizzy Bone's bodyguard Animal. I had to know how deep this rabbit hole went, and if the link between the jail guards and Eric's bodyguards was even more than visual. So I reached out to original Seventh Sign Regime artist and Bizzy Bone protege Baby Phil to see if I was able to confirm that this is the same animal. Phil was able to confirm that this is indeed the same animal, adding even more gas to the fire that we've already started. A side note for all our Ruthless Records historians, Mark Big Man Rucker was also a bodyguard and a friend for Eazy even before the fame of NWA, and here he is pictured with John Jacob and Eazy. Now here we see Bizzy is still fighting the guards while he's leaving the jail, which is really off behavior for a prisoner being released. But we can assume that this is representing him struggling and fighting for Bone down to the very end. Bizzy's shackled and being walked out of a jail. No other prisoner is in this condition that we're looking at, and yet Bizzy, during his release of all times, is. Now we can assume that the shackles indicate that while Bizzy is getting a release from Ruthless, that he may still be imprisoned by something else. Once again, an indication that the jail itself is not representational of Ruthless Records alone. Here we see another BB Gambini missing poster sitting next to Wishbone in his bunk. Wish looks obviously stressed out, and I believe that this is showing that even though Bizzy was present and around them, that Bone felt like he was lost. Now another important thing for us to point out as we're looking at the members of Bone make cameos, we've seen Crazy Bone, we saw Flesh and Bone, and we've seen Wishbone. But Lazy Bone is missing from the entire video and the jail. Now Lazy is historically referred to and considered the leader of Bone Thugs and Harmony. This represents the lack of leadership in Bone at this time. Now the last thing we see in the prison is Dub C and Mac 10, who are proteges of Ice Cube and members of the supergroup West Side Connection, sitting in the same prison as Bone Thugs and Harmony, who are proteges of Eazy-E. This is further adding proof to the fact that the jail itself doesn't represent Ruthless Records, but, you guessed it, the entire industry. We see Westside Connection pointing to the top tier and acknowledging it. This can be viewed as they are also considered low-tier artists by the industry, regardless of their great record sales. Now, as we transition out of the prison and into the third verse, it's important for us to acknowledge that Bizzy spent 2 verses of Thugz Cry in that jail. Now, from a cinematic standpoint, it would have made more sense to have him out by the first verse. Now, the third verse changes the scenario up completely, and while this is a very subtle hint, I interpret this as Bizzy spending 2 projects around Bone, Creeping on a Come Up and E1999 Eternal. By the third verse, The Art of War, he started to distance himself from the group. Now here we are, the start of the third verse, and a big change from what we've been watching for 2 verses. Bizzy Bone is now surrounded by people wearing all white. This is something that we have always believed must be the Seventh Sign regime. Now, I took the time to speak to longtime Seventh Sign member Houdini Black, who is also a Bizzy Bone protege, and he let me know some of the people featured here are, of course, Maya and Lisa Ray, but we also know that Capo, Big B, Kenardo Davis, Black Caesar, Animal, Demon, and Majesty, along with some other Seventh Sign affiliates that helped Bizzy make Heaven's movie, like the Booyah Tribe and the Black Hole of Watts, both of which Bone have very long-standing connections with, were all either in the scene or at the video itself. Now here we see all of Seventh Sign is wearing the color white, and white symbolizes purity and innocence, and white robes and garments are often worn to convey spiritual or sexual purity. All of these things that we know Bizzy felt were missing from his life and Ruthless Records after Tamika took over. Houdini Black provided some exclusive behind-the-scenes photos of the Seventh Sign regime at the Thugz Cry shoot. He told me that a lot of people do not know that Capo and Big B were at the video shoot, as everyone was supposed to wear all white and their wardrobes stood out due to some color variation, but that the family was there in full force. So let's break down a few of the people we see here, because we know Maya and Lisa Ray are not members of Seventh Sign, so why are they featured? We'll start with Maya. Maya represents the love interest of the video, and everything that's the opposite of Tamika Wright in Bizzy Bone's eyes. She was young and innocent, and new name and face in the game, making her as pure as the white dress that she's wearing. After all, what's more pure than a child? And while Maya was much older than a baby or a child, she was very new to the music business, and we can view that from the same perspective. We know that the Maya situation is even deeper than just being an appearance in a Bizzy Bone video, as he was quoted in Rolling Stone as saying that Maya stood him up for his record release party. Now let's talk about Lisa Ray. This is where I want to touch on the Bizzy Bone Tupac connection. Lisa was featured in Tupac's final video, Toss It Up, and Bizzy Bone's first video, Thugz Cry. But let's correct what I just said, because Bizzy Bone was going by his alias BB Gambini during his first video, while Tupac did his final video as Machiavelli. Now we know that Bizzy's not a member of the Outlaws and had a very brief affiliation with Pac, but we know the impact that Tupac had on Bizzy, and after all, we know the impact Eazy had on Bone, and Bone themselves have said that they only knew Eazy for 6 months to a year before his death. So could BB Gambini be Bizzy Bone's way of paying homage and respect and showing loyalty to Tupac with what could be considered his quote-unquote outlaw name? With the Outlaws being named after dictators, world leaders, and war criminals, Bizzy may have taken the same approach by including his Italian heritage and referencing Carlo Gambino of the infamous Gambino crime family. Bizzy at this time did start to do some very similar things to Pac, including the alias and some of his wardrobe during the BB Gambini era. Lisa Ray may have placement in the video to show the overlapping worlds of Tupac and Bizzy Bone, or in this case, Machiavelli and BB Gambini. Let's also not forget that Tupac smashes the mirror in front of Lisa, indicating 7 years of bad luck, while Bizzy believes in the faith of the Seventh Sign. Tupac also teases the burning of Death Row by repeatedly lighting matches from his Death Row matchbook, a feeling I'm sure Bizzy shared at that time, wanting to burn Ruthless down. The third verse seems to take place in solitary confinement as Bizzy appears to reflect about the day he was released and he was met by the Seventh Sign family. From a cinematic standpoint, Bizzy never addresses the fourth wall during the Seventh Sign interaction, but this entire scene in solitary is him addressing us directly. This strongly indicates that the Seventh Sign meeting is a memory and that solitary confinement would be present day in the video, as the third verse bounces back and forth between the two locations seamlessly. Now, Bizzy is no longer wearing the max security orange and can be seen wearing the yellow jumpsuit now, the same jumpsuit we saw many other inmates wearing in the first two scenes. This is an indication of his distance from Bone, as we established that the orange jumpsuits are a symbol of his membership to the group. You can still see his cross tucked in under the jumpsuit, however, showing that while he no longer has the orange jumpsuit, he still has kept his faith and believes in the path that he has chosen. Bizzy is no longer in the jail that we once believed to represent Ruthless Records and is now free from the label and even Bone itself, but he's still sitting in the jail, alone and solitary, once again driving home that the prison never was ruthless, but has always been the entire industry. Bizzy is now segregated from his brothers and Bone Thugs and alone inside this big industry. Here we see Lisa presenting a briefcase full of money to Bizzy. Bizzy only takes some of the money, which we could consider his cut, leaving the rest with Seventh Sign and splitting it with the family, something he believed in the entire duration of Bone Thugs and Harmony up to this point. Here we see Bizzy ride off into the sunset with his love interest Maya. The ride into the sunset is defined as to resolve or conclude things in a neat, happy, and satisfactory fashion, to retire from work, use, or relevance, especially on a positive note or after a long and successful period of activity. So this means Bizzy felt very successful leaving Ruthless and even on a deeper level, leaving Bone. As Bizzy reflects on this in solitary confinement, pictures of friends and relatives who have passed away surround Bizzy Bone, including Tupac, Biggie, and Eazy-E. Bizzy sees the pictures and is visibly startled. This could be a result of him hallucinating from being in solitary confinement for such a long period of time. However, this may be a visual representation of Bizzy and his memories of these people. The photos or memories fly out of the solitary confinement cell and ascend to the heavens and become 6 stars. The 6 stars seem to make a constellation very similar to a Libra constellation. The Libra scale dates back to pre-Greek mythology to the Babylonians, who called it Zib-ba-na, which means the balance of heaven. So we can assume that this means that Bizzy believes that they are now in heaven and are angels watching over him. The heavens, or space, is how we started the video. Does this mean we watched the entire video from the viewpoint of one of Bizzy Bone's many guardian angels? Beyond that, we see that Tupac, Biggie, and Eazy-E, who are now guardian angels of Bizzy Bone, finally escaped the jail that we have established as the industry throughout this entire process. However, it took their lives to finally escape and find peace. Something Bizzy fears he may have in common with his idols. And this is what it sounds like when thugs cry.